Okay, good morning. And there was some questions that came through. I thought maybe just make a quick video. We'll walk through a couple of the items. So first of all, in office hours, we talked a little bit about supernodes and the creation of supernodes. Well, some students have had some problems creating supernodes in that they want to create the supernode here in the middle, and it won't be able to terminate and won't come out the back end of it. So really, what the issue is there is if you have a series of nodes, let's just take this one right here, this simple stream. If you select these and then choose Create Supernode, it's going to create a supernode. Let's go in here real quick. And you see there's no terminator on the back end of it. So it can't go from the stream out to something else. It's assuming that the stream is going to finish inside the supernode. So going back to that, if you simply select the middle pieces of that, so you select those two nodes, and then you say Create Supernode, and then I look at the new supernode that I created, now you can see it's got the terminator that takes you back out to the stream. So this is quite common with new students who are building their first supernodes. That's the reason why you may not have an endpoint to go back out to the individual streams. Second question was about Excel files loading. So this is, again, my location. Your location, you're going to have to change it. But make sure for these sample files you're using Excel 27 to 2016, the XLSX files. Those should work. If you have any additional problems with those individual Excel files loading, you can't get a preview when you click preview right here. Try downloading them again, or post something on the help desk saying I'm having troubles, and I'll repost the files there. As mentioned, I posted an additional file to help out, products file. If you want to use that in your stream, yes, you can. If you decide no, you just want to use one of the two of the files or a combination of the two of the files, that is also fine. So that's an option. That's posted in the help desk forum as well. Some students got a little turned around with the type for the EDA portion. I want to see all the fields. When you get to the model portion, you will change the role on the final piece of it. So for right now, EDA, I set my type node, I set it to input on all. But if this was the final model, then I would change this to a record ID, or I would change it to a typeless type here. If I do not want it to flow through, it's just going to be used as a record ID. It's not actually used in the building of the model, the determination of the model. That's how you would set those individual pieces there. I will also highlight that SPSS tries to choose the best. So while it says continuous, for instance, you may want to change this to categorical, for instance, or you may want to change that to typeless because it's a record ID in this case. So understand these are kind of what SPSS will automatically determine is the option. You may want to change that as well. Another question, the transaction file is quite large. So one of the things which you might want to do when you're building your model, the first initial version of your model, you might want to use a select node, for example. I'll just do it here off of the products file to show you what one is. So down here in record operations, sample, and then you connect to, and then from within this, I'm sorry, I should use the sample. Hang on, let me just delete this. That's the one I wanted. Connect, sample. So within sample, you can just have it to do like the first 10,000 records. You can do a random percentage, grab through all of it. One of the things that's quite handy if you do a sample like this, if you do a sample, it'll make that transaction file much smaller. Now again, you may not be able to get a complete connection between promotions and transactions, especially if it just selects like the first 10,000 records. You may not find anything in the promotions file if you're just looking at the first 10,000. So I would use the sample in this case to kind of build out your initial model, just so when you hit run, like right now if I hit run on this model, this first part of the stream, it takes a really long time to make it through it. So if you do sample, you build it out, and then you come back and you eliminate the sample, and you do it just straight, as you see on the model in the left-hand side so far, then that would take care of that. But that's just a little trick I also wanted to throw out there while we were talking. So I think the final question that came about was when selecting in a distinct such as this. So in the example files, there was like the products file connecting to the transaction and also the promotions file. This node will only show you the fields that are available inside of the file that feeds into it. So in this case here, I'm looking at the transaction file. As mentioned, the transaction file has transaction ID and customer ID. If you click on this little item right here, it'll show you all the potential fields that you can select for that distinct. So that's within this node here, you'll want to select the primary key. In this case, the transaction ID and the customer ID is the primary key. So if you were having trouble with the transaction ID, if you're having trouble with that distinct selection, that answers that item. So I believe that covered the initial questions which came in from the students so far. Have any other questions, please post them, and happy to respond back. If you have an individual stream you want me to take a look at, send me a copy of your stream and I can provide you with some suggestions. Have a good day. Thanks.